Napoleon. He conquered Europe repeatedly, but suddenly ignored logistics and diplomacy when they were most critical. In 2015, Russell Brand was ranked as Prospect's fourth most influential thinker globally. Now he's facing allegations of multiple assaults and is known for his extreme conspiracy theories. John McAfee. While it's unclear if he was truly a genius, his fall from grace was remarkable. After working as a coder at NASA, UNIVAC, and Xerox, he developed and marketed the first commercial antivirus software. He might have reached a peak of around $100 million. He sold his share, urged everyone to uninstall his company's product, retired, experimented with recreational substances, lost tens of millions, possibly caused the death of a man in Belize, possibly had relations with a whale, ran for U.S. president, and was arrested in Spain for U.S. tax evasion before either taking his own life or being killed. Linus Pauling. Once a leading chemist and biochemist, he later became a fraud, publishing books claiming that large doses of vitamin C could cure all diseases and extend life dramatically. Not sure if this fits, but it came to mind. A 23-year-old co-worker went to a casino to play blackjack. The next day, he showed up with 4 huge bags of Burger King. "Lunch is on me," he said. He had won $1,400, starting with only $200, which was a lot for us young folks. Everyone asked him how he did it, and he was so proud of his achievement. He explained, "You just need to know how to read the cards." Blackjack is about skill, knowing when to bet and when not to. Some people get it, some don't. It takes years to master. He was so confident, and we were all impressed. He acted like an expert, soaking up the attention. The whole team listened to him boast and even showed off his winnings. When asked if he was going back, he replied, "Of course, it's free money." That night, he returned to the casino, betting all his earnings from the previous night. Within an hour, he lost everything. Then, he withdrew his entire paycheck from 2 days ago and lost that too. Moral of the story: don't get cocky after a lucky streak. As a Pole, I have to mention a notable figure from our side, Lech Walesa. He shares incredibly ridiculous posts on social media, often portraying himself as the sole savior of humanity, claiming everything happens because of him. He posts this on Poland's equivalent of Reddit, where users tease him and he falls for it every time. He also posts photos of himself in a bathtub filled with beer and shares poorly edited posters of himself with other historical figures. Essentially, he's turned himself into a walking meme. Yet somehow, he still lectures at European universities. Note, he's a Nobel Peace Prize laureate, a leader of the Solidarity Movement, and a former president of Poland. Rudy Giuliani. Though he wasn't a genius, he earned great respect. However, his journey from being highly regarded to becoming a total joke is remarkable. William Shockley led the team at Bell Labs that invented the transistor, which revolutionized portable radios and hearing aids and paved the way for microchips in computers. This breakthrough allowed computers to shrink from room-sized machines to desktop models and eventually to pocket-sized devices. Shockley and his team won a Nobel Prize, but he spent the rest of his life spouting racist and eugenicist nonsense. I'm surprised Sam Bankman-Fried hasn't made this list yet. The media once hailed him as a genius and prophet, but it turns out he was just a complete fool all along. Elon Musk comes to mind immediately. Well, maybe he was always a fool, but for a time, he appeared to be a genius. Steven Seagal. He faked his way to success, embodying the fake it till you make it mentality. After getting into a fight, he literally soiled himself, revealing his true idiocy. The man who created PCR, a groundbreaking DNA research tool and Nobel laureate, widely remembered during the COVID era, eventually went off the rails. He denied that HIV caused AIDS, despite scientific consensus, and spent his nights conversing with a glowing raccoon in the woods. I see Steve Jobs as a genius in marketing and sales. However, when it came to his treatable cancer, he made a fatal mistake. Though he was unlucky to have cancer, he was fortunate that it was treatable when discovered. Unfortunately, he ignored his doctors, believing that dietary changes alone could cure him. John Harvey Kellogg, a nutritionist and the creator of cornflakes, he later embraced eugenics and made the disturbing suggestion that women's clitorises should be removed or burned off with acid. Thomas Migley. His inventions were once seen as valuable contributions, but we later discovered they were causing massive environmental harm, releasing toxic substances into the atmosphere and contributing to the depletion of the ozone layer. Gerald Ratner. In 1991, he made two reckless comments during a speech, calling his own products CEP and causing the value of his company to plummet by $500 million GBP overnight. It costs less than a prawn sandwich from Marks & Spencer and probably lasts just as long. And people ask why I sell it so cheaply, and I say because it's total CP. He said this in front of journalists, and the story spread quickly. From then on, anyone buying gifts from Ratner's stores was seen as cheap, causing sales to crash. He was ousted as chairman within a year, and the company had to change its name. This incident is now known as the Ratner effect, or doing a Ratner. At my university, a Harvard-educated ER physician ruined his career and ended up in prison for hiding cameras in employee bathrooms. I think that qualifies. Ben Carson, a renowned neurosurgeon, once claimed that the pyramids of Egypt were built to store grain. Al Capone, the infamous gangster, died of syphilis with the mental age of a child. Sometimes karma does work. He's not the biggest example, but Jordan Peterson fits the pattern of a genius turned into an idiot. It's sad because he genuinely seemed to want to help people in the past. I first heard him encouraging people to take small steps toward progress, rather than trying to achieve everything at once, which made sense to many. But once he became famous, he couldn't handle public criticism in a healthy way. He became bitter and cynical, broke down mentally, developed an addiction, went to Russia, and returned with jargon to legitimize flawed ideas. Now, he's a figure who talks a lot without offering meaningful insights. The idiot's version of a smart man. Here are two people I haven't seen mentioned. Scott Adams. While genius might be an overstatement, he was a successful cartoonist for years until his political views came to light, followed by racist remarks. He was once seen as a critic of big business, but everything crumbled after that. Second, the YouTuber Illuminati, who built an audience by exposing shady business practices, turned out to be just as corrupt as the people she criticized.